Welcome everyone today, all educators from all over the world, from Australia, from Europe, from Arabic Gulf, from the Middle East, from the USA, from South and North America, from Africa, from China. Welcome to our 7th webinar live discussion for this year, hosted and conducted by Huan Quan Village and organized by Huan Quan Village. Today, we are honored, number one, to have you all with us, and number two, we have a great honor to present to you a great educator, Mr. Luc Pauwels. Is a passionate educator with more than 30 years of experience in developing schools in Europe, Asia, and Africa. For the last 20 years, he's playing a major role in spreading and advocating the latest pedagogical and educational approaches in China. In his practice as a school leader and developer, he had always put the students at the center of the teaching and learning process. He always believed that students are the center, the objective, and the future of education, and he constantly advocated that students, school, and parents form a triangle of interconnections, and this triangle is crucial to develop a healthy communication and collaboration between school and parents that will be the main pillar to reach a dynamic culture of learning and being in and around schools. Today, we are honored with his presence, and he's going to share with us all the know-how needed to create and reinforce the pillars of one of the major and crucial layers in education, school, parents, mutual partnership. Thank you very much, Mr. Luc Pauwels, to be with us today, and we're honored with your presence. And the first question I'm going to ask you, why?
Can I,
John,
yes,
go ahead.
Yes, can I thank you for it? No problem. I thank you for inviting me?
No problem. It's the honor is all ours, Mr. Pauwels. Yeah. The first question: why all this importance? Why everyone saying school parent mutual partnership is a crucial layer? Why today parent school mutual partnership is a crucial layer in education?
Well, John, if you take it away, then there's a huge gap between the education provided by schools and education provided by families. And then we know what happens. Students get lost. Students run into trouble. So yes, we can't live without involving parents in school leadership, in school activities, in teaching, in learning, in volunteering, and so on. I think looking at IB schools, they are strong in involving parents in not only planning and implementing activities, but also in decision making. It's important that schools, parents are well connected, and that we put the child in the middle of that connection, because then kids feel close to the school and close to the family. Working with IB schools, you see that kids are close with leadership, with teachers, with parents, and leading to huge benefits in the development of the child. I'm based in China since 20 years, and to be honest, China has never been strong in bringing parents together with schools. But it's changing. In the last 5, 6, 7 years, I think a lot of international programs have been established in China. And schools more and more begin to realize that parents are important. So I see a lot of good examples coming up. In the current situation, maybe it's difficult. There's maybe a step backwards. But I believe that in the coming years, parents will be more and more involved in schools in China.
What about in general, Mr. Pauwels, international schools outside
Well,
China?
We have a lot of different examples. Like I said, in general, IB schools are really doing a good job, bringing in the parents in different programs, activities. But I would like to start with a few examples,
yes, please,
so that the audience can have an idea. In 2018, I was visiting Global Leaders International School in Manila. And Manila is a very specific situation. You don't have a lot of large schools, or you have a lot of smaller schools, based in buildings, taking up one floor, 1.5 floors, 2 floors. So global leaders, international school is such a school, taking up 1 floor and another half floor for the sports facilities. A maximum capacity of 120 students. When I was called in to help the school, they had 80 students. When I walked into the gate, I noticed that parents were not welcomed at the gate. There was no direct communication with the parents at the school. Occasionally, people didn't know where to stand. So kids were brought in, a short talk and gone. And when, after a few days of visits, I made a plan. And actually, my major point was to give parents a place to sit, give parents the chance to talk to school staff, because that was not available. And I told the owner of the school, I said, it doesn't matter how big that space is. You have a corner at the entrance of the school, use that corner, put a table, a few chairs, put a video on the TV screen on the wall where you can show the programs of the school. Nothing was there at the entrance. Well, they did create a corner, and it started off and everything else. So the school 6 months later had their full capacity of 120 students, and it was the corner for parents that triggered the change. So that's one example. For those people who know China, there is a very good example in Dongguan, that's the south of China, Eaton House International School. It's run by a Singapore education group. Eaton House International School is extremely active, involving parents in different kind of programs. They have a strong community program involving students and parents. Parents come in organizing activities. Parents come in to make decisions with the school leadership, and it's an amazing example in China, where you don't see too many good examples of healthy parent-school partnerships. A third example is from my own country. I'm from Belgium, and Belgium is a small country divided in 3 parts. Each region is responsible for their education, and I'm from the Flemish region. The Flemish government has recently created a framework for the schools, because we have 3 large education groups, to bring parents together with schools. The starting point is that parents are as equally important as schools, and that's a new point. So they provide a whole set of guidelines, guiding questions, factors that influence healthy school-parent partnerships, inspiring examples, and also an action plan for parents. The different education groups. We have 3 large education groups in the Flemish region in Belgium, and they cover 90% of schools. They develop all kind of tools towards parents, towards school-parent partnerships. So they are free within that framework provided by the government to provide, to develop different kind of models and tools. If people would like to know more information about this, feel free to contact me via Huachuan Village. But these are 3 examples, John.
Yes, great examples. Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Pauwels. Now, how can we summarize, or how can we talk about the different theoretical concepts behind a healthy school-parent collaboration?
Yeah, I think I like the model provided by Joyce Epstein. She's from the John Hopkins University, and John was so nice to prepare some slides here.
Welcome.
It's a model that is for me the best one if you want to foster healthy and mutual school-parent partnerships. So you can see there are 6 pillars: parenting, communicating, volunteering, learning at home or supporting learning at home, decision-making, and collaborating with community. And I suggest, John, we go to parenting. Yeah, there's a slide. I suggest the audience or Pois that everyone can have the chance to download these slides, because there's a lot of information on these slides. But I will use the first one to explain how it works. First of all, parenting. What is parenting about? Parenting is about assisting families with parenting skills. It is about promoting understanding of child and adolescent development. It is about setting home conditions for supporting learning at home for each age and at each grade level. In my eyes, parenting is the weakest aspect of school-parent communication and collaboration, not only in China, but globally. Schools have a lot of things to do, and I think they spend least money on helping parents with parenting. So let's have a look on how it works here. You see sample practices, you can say suggested actions, challenges, expected challenges, and then benefits or results for students, for parents, and for teachers. And I would like to give two examples. If you look at the first sample practice, suggestions for home conditions that support learning at each grade level. If we take this one, I think a lot of schools are doing already something here. But what are the challenges that is connected with this specific action? And I would go to the last challenge. Make sure that all information for and from families is clear, usable, and linked to children's success in school. It's not easy to provide detailed information by the school to the parents on what kind of support is needed at each grade level. We are often unclear about the information we provide. Do we know that parents fully understand us? Is it really linked with what we expect that students should learn, the different talents and so on? Looking at, for example, results for students, number 3. If you do have that action, your challenges are controlled, then you should probably come to a balance between, students need to find the balance between activities they have to spend at home and activities they have to do at school. Nowadays, there is no balance. Kids spend too much time on things they have to do for school, project work, homework, and so on. And they don't have enough time for activities that they could do at home. Result parents 1 is also linked here. If we do work on this and deal with the challenges, take care of the results for the students, then we look at the first result for parents, understanding of and confidence about parenting. Parents lack understanding of parenting, definitely. Need more understanding, need more confidence. My experience is that if you are clear from the beginning with your suggestions for home support, then parents are, not all parents, but a lot of parents are willing to work with you and to learn from you. Another example is action 4, family support programs to assist families with health, nutrition, and so on. I see a lot of schools that do organize this, but it's not linked with parents from the school. They go to an impoverished village and they help with the village, but it's not related with parents from the school. We all know that in our schools, we have parents that struggle, parents that need support at different levels. Well, it's good to think about this. How can we come in to help these parents? Challenge 2, do parents provide enough information Do we learn enough about the background, the culture, the children's needs and talents? And then we can jump to the result. Wait, I have to look at my slides. Result 1 for the teacher. I'm just trying to help everyone a little bit to get through the slides to see how it works, to give a few examples of thinking. And I can jump to the results for teachers, understanding families' background. Teachers lack an understanding of families' background, about the culture, the goals, the needs and views of the children. So I would say, like, take your time to look at the sheets, to look at the practice in your school and to put it in that sheet. Okay, John, let's go to communicating. Second slide. Oh yeah, there it is. I think communicating with families about school programs, student progress, and importantly, to create a two-way communication. Channels should be two ways, between school and home, and make them effective and reliable. Well, my point here is everything starts with communication. And I would like to give a few examples. When I came into a primary school, boarding school in Wuhan, everybody knows Wuhan right now. In 2015, they asked me to establish an international bilingual program. From 200 students in the first year, we developed into 1,300 students after 4 years, doing extremely well. But at the start, if you are a boarding school, you only see the students on Monday and Friday afternoon. And the environment at the school was a little bit hostile, aggressive towards parents, bringing in bags of clothes and food and other things. And they were shouting at the gate. And I thought, like, oh, how do I bring parents more closer to the school? How do we start working together? Well, I started greeting the parents and their kids. Good morning, how are you? First week. Second week, good morning, how are you? Very simple, very basically. School leadership was looking at me like, what is that new principal doing here? Is that speed English learning? I continued. And actually, after 6 weeks, they saw what I was doing. I was establishing a relationship with the parents. And parents were happy to have that communication. And the school changed on that. The school realized, like, the parents like what Luc is doing. The good morning and how are you was extended to short conversations. And that was something that was missing at the school. So that was the beginning, communication and opening gates for communication. Looking at the slide, I think everyone at every school is doing already a lot of these things. Question is, how can we improve what we are doing right now? A few examples. Well, it's different here. I want to focus on everything is important there, but I want to focus on challenge 4. How many challenges are here? No, it's not challenge 4. On challenge 3, I'm sorry. On the two-way channels for communication. How often are channels with parents, between schools and parents, two ways? I've seen a lot of examples where it's one way, where we are happy to involve the parents. The parents go home, okay, they have understood our messages, but in how far is it two-way communication? That's really important for me. Result teacher 1 is important. Result for the teachers. Readiness. Oh, I did the wrong sheet, that's why. Result for teachers 1, an increased diversity and use of communication with families and awareness of own ability to communicate clearly. I don't know how it is in many countries, but in China, teachers use WeChat, social media app. Whenever there is something, they send it in the WeChat group to the parents of that classroom. If I spend time with parents, noontime, for example, the phone is constantly beeping messages from the teacher. Bang, 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 bang. Parents are afraid to miss something. Is that a good communication? Is that a balanced communication? I don't think so. I think teachers should use different ways of communicating, not overly rely on one or two ways of communication. We have to think about the communication channels we have and make sure that there's a nice balance between different communication channels. Because think about how parents feel. Parents feel stressed by all these messages coming in. They are afraid to miss a message because something could be wrong with their son or daughter. So these are things I would like to focus on. Again, I cannot go into each single detail of this model. You have to take your time afterwards, or maybe in the questions later on. John, can we go to volunteering?
Yes. We're now on the volunteering slide, Mr. Pauwels.
Yeah, okay, good. What is volunteering? It's involving families as volunteers and as audience at the school or sometimes in other locations, depending on what kind of activities you organize. Also to make possible that different educators within the school and sometimes outside of the school can work with the volunteers. Excuse me, there's somebody calling. Can I take 30 seconds?
Okay.
Sorry for the inconvenience, I'm back.
No problem.
Okay, so what I said is like involving families in as volunteers and as audience at the school or outside of the school, and make possible that different educators within the school and outside of the school can work with the parents. What is important here? A few elements, if you take your time to look at the slide. I think that we need to guarantee that volunteering is diversified. It's about bringing in the parents as audience. Sometimes we ask them to observe classes. Sometimes we ask them to plan, implement activities. Sometimes we take them on community activities. Sometimes they assist teachers. So we have to think about a varied way of involving volunteers. Secondly, like I explained with the model, with my experience in the school in Manila, a meeting place for parents and volunteers at the school is really a must. And again, it doesn't matter if it's a small space or a large space. If you don't have that, I think communication is not systematically. It's loose. You need to have a systematic approach to towards your parents, and a meeting place is really important. Thirdly, do we know talents among our parents, among the volunteers? Often we say yes, but I would say no. I can never fully understand my parents and the talents that there are among my parents. It's step by step that I realize that some parents are able to bring something that we can use at the school, that is beneficial to the school. So it's important that we do surveys to understand our parents, to understand their talents. Fourthly, I think we need to train and coach volunteers. They just don't come in and do their thing. We need to, I don't like training, I like coaching, because you have to work with the parents continuously. Okay, John?
Yep.
Learning at home.
Yes, we're there.
Yeah. Learning at home. Highly important. Again, just like parenting, we don't spend enough time on learning at home. It's about involving families with their children in academic learning at home, including homework, goal setting, and other curriculum-related activities. It's also a difficult aspect for most schools. For a long time, schools have been providing homework, have been providing a few standards that are expected for different parts of the curriculum. I think we can go further. Parents need more clarity on how they can help at home. And I will give a few examples after the presentation, John.
Yes.
Currently, I'm taking a break from leading and developing schools just to focus on parenting and learning at home. I'm working with a few schools. I'm working with parents. I'm working on vlogs towards parenting and learning at home. And I think we really need to spend more time on this. So I suggest to look carefully at this slide. There are 4 musts in my eyes. And I have to take my slide. Yeah. The first 2, information for families on skills required for students in all subjects and each grade. Are we providing that to the parents? That's the first question. I think we should. It's a must for me. The second must is about clear information on homework policies and how to monitor and discuss schoolwork at home. I always made a point at the schools I've worked in China, because usually it was about handing over schoolwork, not thinking about the parents and how they would be involved and how they could support and how we should monitor everything. The problem then is that all these parents ask the teachers during the holidays about this part of the homework and how to do this and why is this not working and when do we have to do that. So there's a lot of things that we can improve here. Another must is that we provide calendars with activities for parents and students at home. This is helpful for families to see clear how we work, how we think, and what is useful. The fourth must is summer learning packets or activities, a little bit similar than homework. Family participation is important here. Then there is one important challenge that we should involve families and their children, not only in a few parts of the curriculum, but in all curriculum-related decisions. That's very difficult for schools, actually. But if you do that, you definitely have the benefit from it. Different parents have different interests. And it's not that we have to involve all the families in.
Yes, ma'am. Sir, everything is ready, sir. You can start now.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes, continue, please, Ms. Pauwels.
Okay, I just have to continue.
Yeah.
Okay, good. It's a little bit boring now because I'm just going over the model and I want everyone to understand the model before we go into examples and a few important questions. If you look at the results, there is one result I want to focus here. A result for students. Positive attitude towards schoolwork and I would say homework. Again, if you work with families, if you make things clear towards families on how to provide support and how to work together to bring home learning closer to school learning, you need time. You have to spend energy on it. You have to take your time and you build up a trust relationship. Otherwise, it will not work. Otherwise, parents will always keep a distance, even if you involve them in volunteering, in whatever programs, there will always be a distance. That's why I think this part is so important, to make sure that parents can grow closer together to the school. this is the most important slide in my eyes. Okay, John, decision making.
Yes.
I will not explain too much, because decision making different. I mean, every country has a different system, different schools. So I would say, like, it's important, yes, but take your time to look at the slides and to understand how your school is doing in terms of this the different items of this slide. And then I would like to move to community, collaboration with the community. Okay, there it is. Thank you, John. Quickly also, I think three remarks I would like to give here. We need to match community services with school programs. It's very important that we have a very clear match here. I don't always see a clear match. Schools are often happy they are doing some community service as a kind of face towards the outside world, but we really have to match these well. Secondly, we have to find a balance. It's related with the first point, a balance between helping the community with their needs and developing a wide set of talents among your students and parents. When you have community programs, you want your students to learn from it. They learn different things than what they learn at school. The parents we involve, they also learn from volunteering programs in the community. How do we balance that with the needs of the community? That's also very important. Thirdly, John, I think we have to assure equity of opportunities. Make sure that most students have at one point or another point the chance, students and their parents, to join community activities.
Yep, it's very important.
I've seen programs where schools choose the easy parents to follow and to join,
yes,
and not giving the equal opportunities to other parents, and that's a problem.
Yep.
Okay, before we go into practical examples and important questions, John, I would like to give two remarks here.
Yes, go ahead, please.
When you start a new school year, new students are always a little bit uncomfortable in international programs. They go to a higher year, they get new materials, they get new teachers. Kids are uncomfortable. And I think we have to give space to the students to get comfortable with the new teachers, the new materials, the new environment. And in my experience, it takes about 6 to 8 weeks for students to become comfortable, relaxed, to have that smile on their face, to go home. John, go ahead.
Well, at least the first 6 to 8 weeks. Yes, I agree with you. Yes, go ahead, please.
And it's if you force communication with parents in the first 6 weeks, it's a waste of time. Because once the kids go home with that smile on their face, they talk about what's happening at the school. And it's not happening in the first few weeks because kids are stressed. Then it's a good time to increase your communication with the parents. Then suddenly communication with parents becomes more easy. It shows a little bit that we should start from the students when we talk about school, mutual school, parents, communication and collaboration. I think we always have to start from the students here, and how well we take care of the students will indicate how well you can communicate with the parents. Okay, John.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Pauwels, for this very, very in-depth, of course, in
summarized in-depth. It can never be in-depth. It can never be in-depth.
Summarized in-depth, very summarized in-depth, because if we want to talk about this in details, we need at least perhaps 3, 4, 5 days. So we have a lot of questions, and I'm going to remind the audience, our fellow educators, that you can ask your questions at the end of the session, or you can just post them on the Zoom chat, and Mr. Pauwels will answer them all. Now let's take some 2 questions from the audience, from the educators, of educators. Number one, how can parents and teachers contribute to the online learning?
That's a good question, John. I don't know from who it came, but it's. I mean, last year with the pandemic, everything was online. On the other hand, more and more families, they go online with their kids, online learning. So there are two ways here we can discuss, two different ways. Let me start with online learning initiated by the school. It was a mess last year. Schools were ill prepared for online teaching. Let us be clear about this. A lot of parents took their kids, gave up or changed schools because of that. I think instead of looking back and thinking about what did we learn from it, how can we improve, I would like to give a different suggestion. I would like to give a suggestion to the audience here. Why don't we organize monthly with our school an online evening session for students and their parents? There are good reasons for it, especially because we can use such kind of activities to bring parents closer to the school. Sorry?
Oh, by mistake. Go ahead.
Não,
Go ahead, please. Continue, Mr. Pauwels.
Okay. Yeah. So, wait. Let's chat. So I think, what was I saying? Yeah, I suggest schools to organize monthly online sessions, evening sessions, no homework, different topics, different activities that parents can do together with their kids. Being online, I suggest voluntary, because it's not good to force parents to do something. It is for schools to get used to organize online teaching in a different way, to involve the parents from the beginning. It's good to involve a selection of parents in talking about how are we going to organize that? How are we going to give shape to this? And it's wait, yeah, okay. It's good to have to involve parents to make clear arrangements on how you are going to work together, channels of communication. It's good to schedule an evaluation after, for example, 3 months of online teaching. And that's one suggestion, that's one line, school initiating the online teaching. John, let's go to the online teaching taking place at home.
Yeah.
I think a lot of schools are not clear. A lot of teachers are not clear about the online teaching that students are taking at home.
Oh, yes.
In China, it's huge. It's huge. I can imagine in the Middle East, it's not less. Kids go online, learn an enormous amount of knowledge, of skills that schools don't know. While we talk about bringing schools and parents closer together, if we don't look at online learning that is happening at the school, then we are not bringing the families closer to the school. So here is a good opportunity for teachers to work with parents. To, first of all, collect, you have to exchange information. You have to start communicating, exchange information, because the teacher needs to know what students are, what kind of classes they are taking at home. You have to collect data as well. Are students equally motivated for classes? For example, English language classes, are they equally motivated for classes you teach at home and the online teaching classes? Is there any difference in student outcome? Is a student having better outcomes at the school because of the online teaching at home? Not always. Sometimes students are pressured and they close down, so they suddenly perform less at school So you have all kind of problems that if you set up the communication with the parents, I think we should also address some of these problem issues. Because the purpose is always the same, bringing the families closer together. I would like to, I mean, this is such an interesting topic here with people from different countries, different cultures, different way of dealing with parents. And I'm sure that everyone has a different look at how to talk with parents. But at the end, or in the beginning, we have the communication about that specific program. We do discuss problems that arise. So John, that's rather in short my answer to that question.
Thank you. And you know, Mr. Pauwels, we have a lot of questions in the chat box, and we're going to all answer them all. I have one more. I will take one more question from the public now. I will say it now, and then I have some questions for you, and then at the end you can answer all those questions. I will one-on-one on the Zoom chat box, and I'll get them to you. And plus, everyone can ask his questions live to you. So the number 2 question that public asked: when can we say that a parent has crossed a limit?
Cross a limit. As a school, can you ask yourself, are the arrangements you have made with the parents clear? If they are not clear, then anytime people can cross a line. So first of all, be clear about what kind of partnership, even a small program, activity, arrangements between parents. I mean, what is expected from the students, from the teachers, from the parents, and so on. Did you make a list of do's and don'ts that parents know about what is expected and when they go too far? But there's a basic rule here. And the basic rule is that parents do not come into the school only for their own child. Because a lot of parents, they do come in for their own child. So I also think that if you bring parents together at the school, try to provide a moderator. You have a lot of parents that want to dominate the discussion or the activity. A moderator can find a balance, can avoid that. But it's all very tricky. That's why I'm so happy to listen to other people, to hear stories from different schools and different countries.
Yeah, we've seen.
Okay, John, that's my answer on your second question.
Great. Now I have some questions for you, and then we get the questions from our fellow educators that are.
Okay, good.
We're happy to have them today with us. So, can we state bluntly that school-parent mutual partnership is a crucial pillar within any school nowadays, knowing that if that partnership is inefficient, the school will face many challenges hard to overcome, and the students' learning outcomes will be affected negatively?
If the partnership is inefficient, then what will happen with learning, John? Well, learning is limited. Very simple. I can give a few examples and try to generalize them a little bit. If you have an international program, not all kids are well prepared for that program. They close them. They close themselves at the beginning when they come in. How do we help them to open up for the way of teaching, for the materials you use, for the expectations you have towards them? I had a child, again in Wuhan, in the primary school in grade 3, the international bilingual program, that was afraid to look up at the foreign teachers. I had no idea how to deal with that child because he was not willing to communicate. His mother was not that different. His mother was lost on parenting, didn't know how to communicate. I never saw the father. Luckily, the science teacher was ill at a certain point, or had to do surgery, and I had to take over for 3 weeks. I was happy to take over because I could work with that student. You can say it's an extreme case, but you have lesser cases similar. My teaching is child-centered. I involve students. I make it relevant. I make it fun. I think about what kids need to learn and to open up. Suddenly that child, from laying down, he was looking up. And I saw a faint smile on his face, and I knew it was working. After 3 weeks of teaching, I gave the students a kind of tests. I wanted to see where they were. That specific student, a boy who never looked up, never even filled in his test papers. So that was a 0. With me, he had 33 out of 100. And I was like, yes, what a progress, man. You're doing a great job. The child went home with a smile. He got a friend, and that was me. His mother was so happy. His mother still could not communicate, but I found an opening towards the mother to talk with her. Later on, she came in activities at the school. Not to be active, but
Mr. Pauwels, are you with us? Mr. Pauwels?
Unmute yourself, please, Mr. Pauwels.
Mr. Pauwels, please unmute yourself.
wow, what's that?
Yeah, that's okay. Technology
maybe
sometimes, yes. Go ahead, continue, please.
Maybe the government was muting.
No, it's by mistake, by technical problem. Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay. What I was saying that I had an openness towards the mother, and I invited her to join activities at the school. And she was not there to be very active, but she was there to look at other parents. How do they communicate with their children? How do they deal with feelings among their kids? And I started talking with the mother. It's unbelievable how she unfroze. I think it shows that it's important to start from the children, to taking care from children, to opening doors towards parents, because a lot of parents will not come in, will not answer your requests for participating at the school. It's through the child that you can open doors to communicate with the parents, to invite them to come into the school. We also made mistakes at the school where we thought the child is doing good. And I was talking with the parents. There's one example of a light autistic child that was coming in grade 1. His English was good. He was active, participating, friendly. He was just a little bit nervous when the father said, I know the father, when the father said like, hey, talk with Luc. And he was like, closing down completely. We made the mistake of going deeper, of talking with the parents, like, what else can we provide? Parenting. I talk about parenting. It's not easy to open doors for parenting, but I missed the chance to open the door here. The child started grade 3. Frustrations started building up because it was suddenly becoming difficult for the child, but he didn't want to show this. And in a moment of frustration, he was throwing a pen to another child, and it landed luckily next to one of the eyes. If it would enter the eye, then we have a huge problem. Yes. But there I feel a little bit uncomfortable because I missed the chance to communicate with the parents on going a little bit deeper, involving the parents maybe at the school more actively to have a chance to get to know them better. Anyway, these cases show that, John, if you're talking about mutual communication and partnerships, that's where it starts, trying to be mutual. If the communication is friendly and okay, we move on, we miss the chance of going mutual. We have to open doors to make it mutual here. The first case, I worked with the child, and then the communication became mutual. The second example shows that we were late of using that chance to make it mutual. I think that's it for your question.
Excellent answer, and detailed and summarized. Combined, excellent. Thank you very much. And we have a lot of WeChat. I mean, on the chat, we have a lot of attendees, fellow educators. They all agree with you, and some of their questions we'll answer them later on today, of course. So the second question, Mr. Pauwels, some international schools worldwide involve parents in the collaborative planning process, where students and teachers prepare lesson plans within one subject called knowledge approach. Do you think that this involvement exceeds the limits of a healthy partnership, or it reinforces more?
We can never go too far, I think. That's what I said before, like sometimes we hesitate to open doors. We have to go further. We have to really go beyond John. And I think I like the idea of a one subject. One subject called knowledge approach. IB schools are good for that. Okay, I don't want to go into detail here. Usually when you invite parents to come in, they are not interested in math classes or any other classes. But if you come with interesting activities, interesting programs, you will be surprised how suddenly other parents come in and you see the talents of other parents. I want to give an example to make clear how far we can go here. Challenging not only the students and the school, but also the parents. John, maybe we can see that
it's there.
Slide.
Everyone can see it now. Go ahead, Mr. Pauwels, please.
Okay. It's from Fairview International School. They are IB World Schools from Malaysia. They have 5 world schools in Malaysia, IB World Schools, and I was working with them and organizing student activities for the students in China. I stopped at seeing this picture and I thought, like, wow, this is great artwork. And I wanted to know more about it. So they explained a little bit what it was. It's an 11-year student, so 16, 17-year-olds, fine arts class, psychology, literature, where parents were involved, students, of course, and then the teachers of the different subjects. It goes extremely deep. And can I read it? What's under the picture?
Yes, go ahead, please. Go ahead, Mr. Pauwels, please.
Horrified girl caged in fear. This picture depicts fear in general, inevitably trauma. Light is focused directly on her face in order to focus on the eyes that are trembling in fear. Shadows are focused on the surrounding of the eye, giving an impact whereby it portrays darkness and anxiety. The overall background is black, as it is composed in a way that every viewer's attention will be her face. Not only that, creating a dark background contributes in making the atmosphere more dark and gloomy, evoking the mood of fright and uneasiness in viewers. The black tone for the background becomes lighter when it reaches towards the subject, which is the top and right section, ensuring that viewers can differentiate her hair and the background. Her hair is styled messily, which matches her facial expression in order to convey trauma and misery more effectively. If I read this, then I know how deep the student went, how difficult it was for students to understand anxiety, trauma so deeply, to learn about art techniques, photography here, to depict that. But what about parents? Do you think parents felt comfortable being involved here? I mean, some did, some didn't. But it's an extremely good example of how far we can go, John. And this is definitely the one subject knowledge topic you like to promote.
Yep.
So it's mainly IB schools that have the potential to involve parents in such processes and such activities. If I look at Chinese schools, we have restraints because government is telling us that this is the curriculum we have to teach. And of course, a lot of schools are creating space to do different things. but that's also limited. I tried in my primary school before in Wuhan. We built a greenhouse, and then we had a little farmers project where students in primary grades 3 and 4 were working with the parents on the little farmers project. So it's not that we can't do anything, but it's limited.
I see. Okay.
So I would say, like, go beyond what you think is possible.
Okay.
Using the one subject.
Knowledge.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Pauwels, for this again very, very, very important and very in-depth answer. And as we are going through this whole conversation, we are seeing and noticing and proving to the whole world that school-parent mutual partnership is really a crucial layer in education, and without that, we cannot survive. So that's why my third question will be, in your opinion, Mr. Pauwels, what is the best leadership style to follow by the senior school admin to reinforce an efficient and effective school-parent mutual partnership?
John, is there one leadership style that serves everything?
Oh, that's difficult to find.
No. As school leaders, we need to. I think we need to use every different style to deal with different problems in different ways. So it's not about one style fits all. But I think that all school leaders, if you want to have a healthy school parents mutual partnership, then all schools should be child-centered. Leadership should be child-centered. I don't see that always. I see a lot of IB programs in China. They are IB, but actually they are not that child-centered. And the programs for parents they have is still very traditional, is not always mutual. So I'm a huge fan of student-centered approach in teaching, learning, and leadership. John, I don't want to go in too much depth here. I prefer to spend more time on more practical questions.
Yes, I agree. Yeah. Okay, so question number 4, Mr. Pauwels. Many schools in general appoint a senior admin fully dedicated to dealing with parents and training them to master different strategies to face with their children, the different challenges and constraints, and overcome them. Do you think that the existence of a dedicated senior admin or an external provider to deal with parents and train them is a must, and why?
Is a must.
Yeah.
In my case, if you don't have such a person, you end up spending too much time on difficult students, talking with the parents, trying to find out how to communicate, how to help, how to build bridges. I can give several examples, and a specific example is a child that had Asperger, autism, and highly talented. His grandfather was an education leader, so he was brought into my school, and I was hoping to have a communication with his grandfather. I spent a lot of time on understanding the problem because the school kept quiet on it. Such kids give trouble. But I also noticed that if you work with such a child, you get a lot of appreciation from the classmates. In the beginning, they look down on that child because he's a lesser child. But when you work with that child and there is progress with that child, the other kids will stand up for that child. You create a social cohesion in that classroom, and that is so important because it will facilitate communication with the parents. In the beginning, the parents don't like to have difficult kids in their classroom, and they complain. But when they see that you turn it in a positive way, then the parents become also positive, and it helps to communicate with the parents. But I was spending too much time with it, talking with the mother, talking with experts to come in. The school said no, they don't come in. So we met outside. I even wrote an article and published an article on it. So it's time that I missed to work with other students, because every student is important. If we would have we had a staff finally who took over from me, but they only spend 20% of their time on it, and it's minimal. So you can never go too far with parents if you don't have a full-time staff. So, but John, you need experienced people for this. It's not an easy job. Understanding parents, knowing how to communicate, understanding students and different difficulties among your students, learning development. It's not easy to find the right people.
Yeah, it's very difficult. You need someone at least with 10, 15 years of experience in school and the principal, vice principal, coordinator, so we can be flexible with the parents in every situation, knows how to do, what to deal with. And as we talk about the leadership, again, that's why leadership is not an easy thing to take. That's 100% true. You can be sometimes very autocratic, sometimes very democratic, depending whom you're dealing with. Yes.
But you could say we need two principals. One principal for the parents.
One especially for them, to meet them, to talk to them. Yes.
It's equally important.
Yes. And that's why I have another question for you, Mr. Pauwels, and two more questions, and then we'll go to the questions. Some international group questions, yes. Some international schools worldwide conduct special and dedicated PD sessions to train parents, at least sometimes 10 hours, 15 hours per year. They consider the PD sessions the primary factor to reinforce their partnership with parents, followed by a crucial positive impact on their students' learning outcomes. Do you think that our parents' training sessions by a professional leader and educator are crucial, and why?
Well, I think we have to be careful here. First of all, you can only do something when it's based on trust. Bringing in people from outside is not always easy to build up trust. So I like to work within the school. So we provide training sessions within the school. We can say parents who come in here come in voluntarily. Teachers who come in voluntarily, because what means voluntarily? They know why they are there. If people are there because you keep inviting them, they are not always there with the right intention. I need to have people because the minds should go in the same direction. Even you can have different opinions, but once you build up trust and you organize your training programs and people develop skills, you will have more people coming in, more parents, more teachers. And once you feel that you have a stable relationship among your teachers with the parents, and everything works well, the trust is there, then I think schools can start to invite external people. Only then.
Yeah, I agree. Yes. It's very, very important. Yes. And it's always better to get someone from inside, and later on, as you said, getting external providers for that. Yeah, agree. So in general, another question, Mr. Pauwels, many studies prove that an efficient and effective parent-school mutual partnership is needed to reach 100% complete inclusion environment based on the dream that we all dream about and we want to reach there, no child left behind approach. Do you agree with this fact, or think it's an exaggerated statement and it is based on a non-population representative studies? Can we reach there? Can we be there? We want to be there, but can we be there?
I like to say no child left behind, because whatever child, whatever problem they have, when they come into my school, I help them. Difficult kids, like the Oscar that I example with Asperger, it's very hard to help, but you can still do something. The problem is, if I could bring experts inside of the school, we could do more. If the grandfather would be more open. Finally, the grandfather had a different opinion than the mother. The grandfather said, like, The school is responsible. So the child has to go to school every day. The mother, who was educated in the US, said like, yeah, but I don't mind to take him home once in a while because it's too much for my child, for my boy at school. So a generation conflict. So you can never do well enough, John.
Yeah.
Even you want to involve parents, there are generation conflicts here. Or the father thinks different than the mother because these are difficult issues. Also, schools are not willing to promote too much that they are doing a good job because they are afraid to attract more kids with autism and learning disabilities. So it's an uncomfortable question, John, because I feel that I could do more, but I don't succeed in this.
Yeah. You need the resources,
There are many
you need the backup. Yes, yes.
Inclusion is a wonderful concept, but even if governments would provide financial support, schools would use it for different programs, not for that intent. So it's always an uncomfortable feeling here.
Yeah. Yes, yes. It needs a lot of sacrifices to reach there, and it needs to change. You need to change not have more resources. You need to change the mindset of the people surrounding you to get that 100% inclusion. Of course, a lot of schools tried it. A lot of schools reach a certain, let's say, apogee. They reach a certain point that they're almost there. But in general, we're facing a lot of challenges and hoping that those challenges very soon will be over by time. And this mindset will allow us to create that 100% inclusion approach. And now I want to thank you very much for all those answers. We're going to go
to John.
Yes,
I just saw one chat here.
Yes,
but these students need to be monitored. I fully agree. We do pay attention to these students, and we are more than willing to see results there. And not only on examinations, it's these kids have different talents and different possibilities. So we definitely monitor these kids.
Yep.
And a lot of attention is given to these kids to reach small steps.
Yep. Yes, yes. So as a finale to my questions, before we go to our fellow educators, colleagues' questions, a school-parent mutual partnership is not only one of the main pillars of education, but today we cannot succeed in our sacred mission of education by using one hand called school. We need the other hand to clap for the success of our students. And now, thank you very much for the answers, all the answers, Mr. Pauwels. And now we're going, let you make some announcement and then we say goodbye to everyone, Mr. Pauwels. Of course, we'll have a lot of sessions in the future because I see this, especially the school-parent mutual partnership is a very in-depth and very diverse field that we can talk about it for years and years, and will never be done. And
well, I said before, maybe some people missed it, but I took a break from leading schools because exactly I know that parents are weak on parenting. Schools are weak on providing support to families. I'm working on this. I'm developing tools also for parents. And I'm going to develop something. I have a presentation for schools coming up next week here in China.
Great.
So I'm working on these things because it's building up awareness. There is not enough attention for parenting. Parents need help. There is not enough attention, support for parents to help the kids at home. There is not enough understanding here. So lots of work to do.
Yep. And that's why,
John,
yes, Mr. Pauwels,
John, we can also travel around the world and visit schools and regions to talk about it, to work with schools, to work with people, because it's, like you said, it's a major pillar, and the rest, I leave it up to you, John.
Yes, Mr. Pauwels. And that's why I'm sure that we are going to have many more sessions in the future regarding this issue, when you are going to have all those new tools that you're talking about, and we're going to share that with all our fellow educators, hosted by our great Kwan Village. And here I just want to make a very, the upcoming 2 months, what do we have? More webinars that will help our educators, more live discussions. On May 15, we're going to have a live discussion panel with the international educators, Ms. Aline Nassim and Mr. Fuad Sila, in which they are going to talk about the different layers of the multi-layered curriculum, which is the basis of one subject taught knowledge. On June 5, we're going to have a live discussion with the international educator, Director of EdUnion, Mr. Sean Hughes, facilitating English through drama. How can we facilitate, teach English through drama? June 26, live discussion with the international art and culture, Mr. Gian Domenico Padovan, about cultural harmony, which is one of the basics for the different, as we know, the different traits of the 21st century learner profile. On July 10, another topic, adventure-based education, a live discussion with international knowledge and adventure-based educator, Mr. Colin Wiley, in which he's going to explain to us adventure-based education and a major pillar, of course, of 21st century. All we can register for all those webinars, of course, and via WeChat. And one of the upcoming education events I want to share with the audience today, Huan Quan Village and EdUnion are collaborating to host an English drama summer camp in Huan Quan Village to facilitate English, to teach English through drama. It's 5 days, 4 nights for students grade 3 to 5. This is very, very helpful too, as we know, especially for students to be ready right for today and ready for tomorrow, and to nurture within them the different traits of the 21st century learner.
Cool.
Let's see if anyone has another questions now. Another questions? We went over time more than 40, 45 minutes because your topic,
John,
your session was outstanding.
Nothing is overtime.
Yes, everything. The end is the beginning of the end.
John, make sure that the audience, they receive the recording.
Yes, I would just put it now.
And all the slides.
Yes.
Okay,
all this will be uploaded on our social media account, Bilibili and YouTube. Please make sure follow us on YouTube and Bilibili. Follow us on our LinkedIn, also on all new announcements, all those different webinars. And I promise you and Mr. Pauwels, together we are going to have more webinars very, very soon. Very, very soon, more webinars about, because there's a lot of questions about this topic, which is school-parent mutual partnership with our international guru in this topic, Mr. Luc Pauwels, that we want to thank him today. We were very, very honored with his presence. It was very helpful for all educators because Huan Quan Village main objective is to make sure that to facilitate this very difficult mission, the sacred mission of education for our educators, because as we all know, education is the last stronghold between humankind and all destruction. If that stronghold is down, we are doomed. So that's why we'll do our best to help. Me, Huan Quan Village, Mr. Pauwels will be back very soon and give you more details about Mr. Pauwels, the tools and new techniques, how to deal with school-parent mutual partnership. Thank you, Mr. Pauwels. It was a great honor to have you today. God bless you.
Thank you.
And see you very soon. If you want to add anything at the end, please go ahead, Mr. Pauwels.
I would like to thank the audience, first of all, for joining us. I enjoyed listening to your questions, and I wish I had more time to better understand your situation. I think we can share a lot of useful information. It's mutual.
Yes.
It's not one direction. John, thanks for starting this, and I really hope we can do more because it's an important pillar.
Yes.
And thanks to Poi, who's in the background somewhere.
Yes.
So for me, it's late in the evening.
Done a
So
great
I
job.
would say thanks everyone, and hope to see you again.
See you again. Thank you, Mr. Pauwels. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
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 And thank you for all the fellow educators that you attended today. And see you next week with our next online discussion about the multi-layered curricular approach. Thank you very much.